Thinking about donating a kidney? Some words of advice from a living kidney donor by Kloss. Most perfectly healthy people don't volunteer for major surgery. Living kidney donors are a different breed of cat, though. I suppose we're altruistic. We want to help out. Donating your kidney is one of the most generous things you can do for another human being. But make no mistake, kidney donation is a major surgery. It causes you pain. It's inconvenient. It takes time to recuperate. Despite the pain, the inconvenience, and the downtime, I realize now that donating my spare kidney to my Uncle Jack was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. If I had a third kidney, I'd give it to another dialysis patient. But we're each born with only one spare, so I encourage you to think about giving yours to someone in need. If you're considering kidney donation, here's some advice. Don't wait to be asked to donate your kidney. My Uncle Jack would never have asked for someone to give him a kidney. Most patients in need of a transplant feel the same way. They're reluctant to ask. Kidney donors need to step up. My adventure in nephrology began at an unlikely spot, a Detroit Tigers baseball game. Each summer, men in our family have a tradition of attending a ball game together, a boys' night out. On a hot summer night 15 years ago, my Uncle Jack, my cousin Jimmy, and I were cheering on our Tigers. During the game, Jack mentioned that his doctors told him his kidneys were failing. He needed to start hemodialysis. After that, there would be only one alternative to life on dialysis: a kidney transplant. The wait for a transplant from a deceased donor would be a long one, 6 or 7 years. This was gut-wrenching news for Jimmy and me. We'd been there with Jack many years earlier when he'd survived a heart transplant. I didn't say anything about it during the game, but on my way home that night, I wondered about a kidney transplant from a living donor. I wondered if I could be Jack's donor. My wife, Linda, happens to be a nephrology nurse. Over the years, she has worked with many dialysis patients who receive transplants from living donors. After talking it over, Linda said, "You have to do this. Life on dialysis can be pretty miserable. You'll be giving Jack his life back." I decided to inquire whether I could donate a kidney to my uncle. I knew he would never ask, so I offered. When I called him, he was hesitant. After some persuading, Jack said he'd be willing to find out if we were a match. Involve loved ones in decision-making. My teenage son asked, "What the hell are you thinking, Dad?" He and his older sisters were worried. I had informed them that I was arranging to donate one of my kidneys to my uncle. Why, they asked, would I agree to undergo a major surgery when I was perfectly healthy? "Surgery is for sick people," my son said. "Well," I explained, "ever since your grandpa Kloss died, Uncle Jack is the one man in this world I care about the most. Your grandma's baby brother, less than 10 years older than me, he's more like my big brother. Uncle Jack needs help, and I think I can give it to him, with very little risk to myself." As it turned out, I was right about that. Donating a kidney involves very little risk for the donor. I shared all this with my children because I wanted them to be involved with the process. I was curious to know what they were thinking. I wanted to reassure them. Gradually, they came around. Today, as a transplant center living donor mentor, I urge prospective donors to be mindful of loved ones who, like my children, may question their decision to donate. Talk with them, encourage them to express their reservations, and reassure them that kidney donation is the right thing to do. Life after transplant. Jack and I made it through the transplant surgeries in great shape. His transformation after the surgery was incredible. I was amazed to learn that, like many recipients, his new kidney began producing urine while he was still on the operating table. His energy and color returned almost immediately. His jaundiced eyes and yellow skin were gone. At last, he was untethered from his dialysis machine. He and my aunt were ecstatic. My kidney nurse wife was ecstatic. I, on the other hand, felt like I'd been run over by a truck. Removing my kidney required about a 4-inch incision through my core muscles next to my belly button. I never realized how often we use these muscles. Climbing a flight of stairs was nearly impossible. Shifting in my chair, rolling over in bed, and especially defecating were real struggles. Every donor's experience is different, of course. Regular Tylenol took the edge off the pain, and gradually it faded away. After recuperating for 6 weeks, I felt as good as new. Lean on your support network and plan on making a full recovery. Transplant centers screen potential kidney donors very carefully. They want to make sure the donor will make it through the transplant experience without any adverse effects. You'll receive the most thorough physical exam of your life. If you are approved to donate a kidney, you can be confident that you're one of the healthiest people walking around. You are not superhuman, however. You'll need a strong support network to help you during your recovery. Let them do the housework, the grocery shopping, and all the lifting, heavy or otherwise. To protect you from a hernia, you'll be restricted from lifting anything heavier than 10 pounds, about the weight of a gallon of milk. When you begin feeling better, it's tempting to start overdoing it. It's important to listen to your body when it tells you you've exerted yourself enough and it's time to rest. If you take it slow, your recovery should be smooth and uneventful. Life with one kidney. I volunteer with Michigan Medicine as a living donor peer mentor. One of the most common questions I get is, how is your life different since you donated a kidney? The first few times I heard this, I had a hard time coming up with an answer. Once I had recovered from the transplant surgery, my life returned to normal. Nothing seemed different. Later, I realized that there was one important difference. Prior to the transplant surgery, I was very hit or miss about getting yearly physicals. Now I follow the transplant center's advice. I have my kidney function checked every year at a physical exam. 5 years ago, my physical uncovered something suspicious with my prostate. It was cancer. Thanks to early detection, I'm now cancer-free. I tell people that, in a way, donating a kidney saved my life. The second happiest thing. A few years ago, my younger daughter gave birth to our first grandchild. As she lay there glowing in her hospital bed, I said, "You know, a lot of the stuff that happens in hospitals isn't very happy. The absolute happiest thing that happens in a hospital is the birth of a healthy baby." "It sure is," she said. And then I added, "And do you know the second happiest thing that happens in a hospital? A successful kidney transplant from a living donor." This has been a revised excerpt from the book The Missing Piece, a collection of kidney transplant stories. Copyright 2018 by the Regents of the University of Michigan. I'm Lawrence Kloss.